My daughters told me I wasn't their real father, so I stopped acting like one. But they didn't expect the consequences. I got home from work that evening expecting the usual. Dinner on the table, my wife, Lisa, smiling as she scrolled through her phone, and my two daughters, Emily and Sophie, bickering over something trivial. But as soon as I stepped inside, something felt wrong. The house was too quiet. Lisa barely acknowledged me, offering a half-hearted smile before turning away. My stomach twisted. Something was off and I could feel it in my bones. Then, I heard voices coming from Emily's room. The door was slightly open, and I knew I shouldn't eavesdrop, but curiosity got the best of me. I took a step closer, straining to make out their words. "He's not even our real dad," Sophie muttered, her voice tinged with frustration. My breath caught in my throat. Emily sighed, almost as if in agreement. "Yeah, Mom just doesn't want us to know the truth." My heart pounded so hard it felt like it might burst out of my chest. I wanted to believe I misheard them, but their words played over and over in my head like a broken record. Not their real dad. What did that even mean? I had been there since the day they were born, changing diapers, reading bedtime stories, teaching them how to ride their bikes. How could they say that? How could they even think that? I felt like the ground beneath me had crumbled away, leaving me free-falling into an abyss of confusion and pain. My mind raced with possibilities. Had Lisa been hiding something from me all these years? Was there some dark secret lurking beneath the surface of our perfect little family? Every memory I had of raising those girls suddenly felt tainted, like an elaborate lie I had unknowingly been a part of. The walls of my home, once a place of comfort, now felt suffocating. I needed answers. I turned away from the doorway, my hands trembling as I gripped the banister for support. A part of me wanted to barge in, demand an explanation, force them to take back their words. But another part of me, a quieter, more fearful part, was terrified of what I might uncover if I pushed too hard. Instead, I walked away, each step heavier than the last. That night, I lay in bed next to Lisa, staring at the ceiling while she slept soundly beside me. My mind wouldn't stop racing. If I wasn't their real father, then who was I to them? Just some guy who happened to be there? Some placeholder until they found out the truth? I had spent years believing I was building something real, something unbreakable. But now, for the first time, I wasn't so sure. I don't know how long I lay there that night, staring at the ceiling, replaying their words in my head. "He's not even our real dad," over and over like a cruel mantra. Every laugh we shared, every hug, every scraped knee I bandaged, it all felt meaningless now. I had poured my heart into raising them, loved them unconditionally, only to be dismissed like I was just some stand-in, some irrelevant extra in their lives. It was like I didn't even exist. A part of me wanted to believe it was just kids talking, that they didn't really mean it, but the weight of their words crushed me. If they felt that way, even a little, it meant something had been festering beneath the surface for a long time. Maybe I had been blind to it. Maybe Lisa had been keeping things from me. Or maybe I had just been fooling myself this whole time. That thought hit me harder than I expected. I had always seen them as my daughters. I was there for every late-night fever, every school recital, every heartbreak. I worked overtime so they could have the best, so they wouldn't go without. I was there, their so-called real father, nowhere to be found. And yet, somehow, I was the one being discarded. That realization sent a sharp, burning anger through my chest, mixing with the heartbreak. I sat up in bed, looking over at Lisa, resentment bubbling under my skin. Did she know they felt this way? Had she let them believe it? Or worse, had she been the one to plant the idea in their heads? I wanted to wake her up, demand answers, but what was the point? If she had been keeping secrets, she'd just lie. If she hadn't, then maybe the truth was even worse. That despite everything I'd done, they just didn't see me as their father. I clenched my fists, jaw tight. If they didn't see me as their dad, then maybe I needed to stop acting like one. What was the point of giving my all if I was just going to be cast aside? Something inside me shifted in that moment, something cold and unrelenting. I wasn't gonna fight for a place in their lives if they didn't want me there. Let them see what life looked like without me. The next morning, I didn't make breakfast like I usually did. I didn't ask about their plans for the day. I barely said a word. And when Emily asked if I could drop her off at school, I just looked at her for a long moment before shrugging. "Ask your real dad," I muttered, walking away. The look on her face told me she hadn't expected that. Neither had I, but something had broken inside me, and I wasn't sure it could ever be fixed. At first, they didn't seem to notice. Or maybe they thought I was just in a bad mood. I stopped waking them up in the morning, stopped asking about their day, stopped offering to help with homework or drive them anywhere. When they left their dishes in the sink, I didn't clean them. When they called out for me from the other room, I didn't answer. I became a ghost in my own home, present but absent, watching but no longer participating. Lisa picked up on it first. "Is something wrong?" she asked one night as we got ready for bed. I just shrugged. Everything was wrong, but what was the point of saying it? She hadn't noticed before. Or maybe she had and just didn't care. So, I kept my silence, letting the weight of it settle between us like an invisible wall. She frowned but didn't push. Maybe she thought I'd get over it. Maybe she thought this was just a phase. But the girls, they were confused. Sophie asked me to help her with a school project, and I simply said, "Figure it out." Emily needed a ride to a friend's house, and I told her to ask Lisa. They weren't used to this version of me, the version that didn't drop everything to make their lives easier. At first, they huffed, rolled their eyes, acted like I was the one being difficult. But I saw it, the uncertainty, the frustration, the cracks starting to form in the world they'd taken for granted. The shift was subtle but undeniable. They didn't just miss my help, they missed me. The jokes I used to make at the dinner table, the way I always knew what to say when they had a bad day, the quiet comfort of knowing I was there, no matter what. And yet, they still didn't say anything about what I had overheard. No apology, no explanation, just an unspoken expectation that I would snap out of it and go back to normal. But I wasn't going back. I had spent years giving, loving, sacrificing, only to be told I wasn't real. If they wanted to see what life was like without me, I was more than willing to let them. Maybe, just maybe, they'd finally understand what it meant to have a father. Or, in their case, to lose one. Lisa, the girls, the entire house, they were all waiting for me to cave. But I wasn't sure I had anything left to give. And that's when the real consequences started to hit. First, they acted like they didn't care. Like my absence in their lives was just an inconvenience. Nothing more. Emily started getting rides from friends. Sophie struggled through her homework alone or relied on Lisa. They still talked and laughed at the dinner table, but there was something different now. A forced lightness, a tension just beneath the surface. I could see it, feel it. They were trying to pretend everything was fine, but it wasn't. Then the cracks started to show. Sophie forgot about a big assignment and bombed her grade because no one was there to remind her. Emily had a fight with her best friend and locked herself in her room, crying. Normally, I would have been the one to talk to her, to tell her that friendships sometimes break but that she'd be okay. But I wasn't that person anymore. And when she finally came out, her eyes red and puffy, she looked at me like she wanted something. Comfort, reassurance, maybe just a hug, but I gave her nothing. Lisa was struggling too. She had always leaned on me more than she realized. And now she was feeling the weight of doing it all alone. Late at night, I heard her sighing in exhaustion, saw the stress lines deepening on her face. She started getting irritated more easily, snapping at the girls over small things. It wasn't just me they were missing. It was the balance I had brought to our home, the quiet stability they had taken for granted. And then came the real wake-up call. One evening, I overheard them talking in the living room. Sophie's voice was small, uncertain. "Do you think Dad hates us?" Emily hesitated before answering. "I don't know, but I think he's different now. And I don't like it." There it was, the first real crack in their certainty. They had assumed I would always be there, always be the same, no matter what. But now they were starting to understand. People don't just exist to be taken for granted. Still, I didn't say anything. I wasn't ready to forgive. wasn't ready to pretend like everything was fine. Maybe a part of me wanted them to suffer a little longer, to really feel what it meant to lose me before I even considered letting them back in. But deep down, I knew the moment of reckoning was coming. The moment when they'd have to face what they had done. The only question was, would it be too late? It started with small things. Sophie would linger in the doorway when I was watching TV, like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. Emily began setting the table at dinner without being asked, something she had never done before. Even Lisa seemed different, more cautious around me, like she was trying to gauge how much damage had been done. The house felt quieter, heavier. They were feeling the weight of it now, just like I had. One night, as I sat in my chair reading, Sophie finally broke. She walked up to me, hesitant, clutching the sleeve of her hoodie. "Dad." Her voice was small, uncertain. It was the first time in weeks she had called me that. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her, waiting. She swallowed hard. I didn't mean it. What I said. I don't even know why I said it. Her eyes were glossy, her face pale. She was scared. Not of me, but of losing me. Emily joined her, standing awkwardly beside her sister. "We were stupid," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "We didn't think about what we were saying. But you are our dad. You've always been." She looked down, biting her lip. "And we miss you." That last part hit me harder than I expected. I wanted to stay angry. I wanted to tell them that words have consequences, that you don't get to just take something like that back. But looking at them, two girls I had raised, loved, fought for, I felt my resolve cracking. They were just kids, thoughtless, careless, but not cruel. They had spoken without thinking, without realizing what it meant. And now they were learning. I took a deep breath, letting the silence stretch between us. "You don't get to say things like that and expect them not to hurt," I finally said. "I gave everything to you, and for you to just dismiss that." I shook my head. That broke something in me. Sophie sniffled, wiping her nose on her sleeve. Emily didn't look up. They knew. They felt it now. After a long pause, I sighed. "But I'm still here." The relief in their faces was instant. They rushed forward, wrapping their arms around me, and for the first time in weeks, I let myself hold them back. The pain was still there, the wound still raw. But as I sat there with my daughters in my arms, I realized something. They had learned a lesson they would never forget. And maybe, just maybe, so had I.